Hey guys, welcome to Track to Hell. My name is Dani Escobar and I'm here with a special guest, Chaney Crabb from Entheos.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having me.
We're so happy to having one of the female figures of male, you know, like one of the main ones. All these genres like death, prog and all this, but we're gonna go by parts. First of all, we're going to talk about your tour with Born of Osiris, Ingested, The Warning Code. What made you join to this one?
What made us join this one? You know, that is actually a good question because we've turned down quite a few European tours this year. First of all, this tour is like going to a bunch of Eastern European countries that we've never been to before that don't really get played on tours. So there was that, and then we're just such good friends with Born of Osiris that we've kind of, you know, both of our bands have been waiting for a perfect time to spend a half a year touring together, and we just got done doing the States with them. So now we're like, let's take it to Europe. But yeah, we just thought this would be the right one. You know, we're at a place with our band where it's like we're trying to not strictly do technical death metal. You know, we want to do other kinds of tours. So when Born of Osiris asked us, we had to say yes.
That's a good answer. You know, you know, you're just discovering countries that you've never been to. You know, like Bulgaria or Greece, also Serbia. That's a very cool thing because you know there are countries that have a huge metal scene, like a metal fandom, but they just don't get as many concerts as we Western Europe do. I'm gonna say that Spain, we're kind of in opposition.
Yeah, we go to Spain a lot. we're half Spanish at this point. There's so many.
Moving to the next question. Last time we were here was back in 2023 alongside Oxfire, Benighted, and say Croptic. Maybe?
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah. I'll never forget that time because we did have an off day that lined up perfectly that was in Barcelona. So we got to go and like be like drunk tourists in Barcelona along with all of the other drunk tourists who were like on the beach. I laid on the beach. I bought the shitty alcohol that people came by and were selling. I got a massage on the beach. And then we went out to like a super expensive, amazing dinner. Like we got to really live it up the last time we were there. So yeah, that was so fun. Because it's rare that you get an off day, especially in Europe. Usually when we have days off, it's because we have to take a ferry somewhere. You don't really get the chance to explore that much. So that was amazing.
Wait, that was going to be the question, you know, like what will you remark from being in Spain? And you just did the answer.
Full-blown American tourist vibes.
I hear a lot of people, you know, especially from America, just saying, bro, I just want to go to this tour because there's Spain in the list.
100%. I mean, I kind of feel that way with this tour. It's like there's Spain, there's Porto, Portugal, which is one of my favorite places, one of the most beautiful places. And then, like you said, we got to hit Greece, which I've never been to. And it's exciting to... The playing shows aspect, kind of an afterthought. For me right now, I'm thinking like, damn, I get to go to like 26 different countries with some of my best friends. This is going to be so fun. I can't wait.
Wow. I mean, Spain. It's, you know, you just cannot compare any country with my land, you know, especially Barcelona. I mean, it's kind of the place where I've grown up. I mean, I'm an hour and a half away, but, you know, I just feel the vibe.
Oh yeah, dude. So are you gonna go to that show, the Barcelona?
I was at the Ingested guest list because
beautiful.
On last year with Bulbaginia and Ingested, we became we just forged a huge relationship between us. And
Bulbaginia will do that with people. Those are my boys, Bulbaginia, and also.
Yeah, I got my Tom photo, also my photo with Chris. I mean.
Oh yeah. Oh, Chris. So Andrew from Ingested, who just like officially joined, Andrew Vireta, has played live with us. He played live with us last summer. So it's like we get to see sweet baby Andrew and the Vulvodynia guys. Ingested is the one band who we like know them because we've met them at a show, but Naveen and I have not toured with Ingested before, but you know, they have Sweet Baby Andrew in their band, so it's gonna be a blast.
I mean, it's the first time, and I think they just announce official members, you know, because all the members that they had were like live members.
Yeah.
For example, Tom, their new bassist. So, well, it's a new era, and I cannot wait. But I wouldn't be going to that one because I'm going to Mystic Festival in Poland.
Oh, nice.
Then next week, I'll be on Leeds at Ghost Fest, watching Humanity's Last Breath.
Sick.
And Signs of the Swarm. Last October, you came out with an End to Everything EP. You know, in addition to Time Will Take Us All album, would you say there has been an important evolution since your first work, Infinite Nothing?
Our band has seen an insane, intense evolution, and we're actually writing an album. We're in the middle of recording right now a new album, and I think that the evolution is even more apparent. So Dark Future, it came out in 2017. It's the last album that we wrote as an entire band. Time Will Take Us All was the first album that we wrote with Naveen 100% writing every bit of the guitar work. Don't get me wrong, the band has always existed, but this incarnation of the band began with Time Will Take Us All. When we wrote that album, we wanted it to be, because Naveen and I are obsessed with Fredrik Thordendal's solo project, Niger Within. That's literally, someone gave us, one of our friends gave us that vinyl as a wedding gift. That's how obsessed with that album we are. So we took the idea that Fredrik has on that album, which he wrote an entire piece of music. That's what the album is. You listen to it beginning to end. We wanted to do that with Time Will Take Us All. We were like, let's go full fucking prog on this one. Let's just be progressive as hell and do that album. And that kind of got that out of our system, at least for the time being. So when we went to write an End to Everything, which was actually, it's the first thing that we've written and released that we've done completely with someone else. Before that, Naveen was tracking the guitars. Like, we were producing things, but we weren't like really meticulously like cutting out riffs. And so an End to Everything, we went to Mark Lewis fully for the first time. He did mix Time Will Take Us All, but he fully produced and engineered, tracked everything on an End to Everything. And the goal with that EP was really to make singles. Like, we wanted songs that, we've done the concept huge piece of music thing. We wanted songs that could stand on their own and just be a little more like to the point and really hone in on the things that make Entheos, but do it in a way that like isn't so crazy that it's hard to listen to. You know what I mean? It's like, we've really just I think cut the fat out of our band with that, and we've further done that with what we're working on right now. And I feel like we're exploring, because of having done that, now Naveen and I are able to even further explore aspects of our band that we've wanted to, like grunge, the grunge aspect of our band, where we have some rock songs. I'm not saying that we're cutting out all the screaming or doing anything crazy like that, you know, but we're just finding ways to more creatively bring that into our band while not losing the sound and doing it in a concise way. And that's really like our goal in this band and in general, is just to become better and better songwriters over time. And I think we have done that, and that's what we're pushing to continue to do.
I like this kind of change of format. It's really cool, you know, just swapping to that fully professional and fully, you know, introspective side to your band, and just thinking, what can you do like much more properly, you know, just taking your time for composing, just doing everything like meticulously. So yeah, I'm wishing all the best for this new chapter, this new transition, and I hope you never lose your sense. I mean, you'll never do, because you're a crazy band. And one of the questions that I wanted to do is also you know, one of the main figures of the female metal, alongside, you know, bands like Monochromatic Black, Spirit Box, Ginger, and a bunch more bands. But how do you think a woman in prog death, you know, like your music style, how do you think people sees it? You know,
That's a good question. I have no idea. I don't really know. You know, it's hard to answer questions like that because I've always been a woman. You know, I've always seen things from my point of view. What I have seen throughout my life, you know, I've played music for 25 years, I guess. I've played music that long in my life. I've been into metal for that long. What I have seen is like more and more, first of all, of an acceptance for women who do what I do. I remember like being made fun of so much when I was a kid, when I was starting to scream and stuff, which is whatever, you know, I got through that. But I just remember there weren't other girls who were doing what I was doing, you know, and especially in my local scene, it's very few and far between that women embrace this kind of music and play it. But in a local scene, it's even less, you know. Over the span of my life, I've seen people embrace women. And because of that, more and more women are playing metal now, which I think is incredible because you just named a bunch of great bands. Those are my girls. The only one that I haven't met is Tatiana. I've never met her before, but I hugely respect what she does. She has an amazing voice. But Tanya and Courtney, you know, there's so many women who are coming up and expressing things in a different way than men do, because there is something to I mean, every single person has a different perspective, no matter what your gender, your sexuality, all that stuff aside. But women offer something to metal that is more feminine, you know, inherently. So it's like, it's really cool to see where everyone is taking it and how metal can become even more delicate along with being intensely aggressive. Yeah. And it's just really cool. You know, it's more voices, which I think is incredibly important.
I mean, I just love to hear that, you know, because, you know, just being you, just growing up in an environment like, I'm not gonna say it 100%, but mostly little boy man, you know, just seeing you surrounded by people, you know, like, man, I mean, you're kind of the same. You're still being persons, just wanting to give your perspective, you know, just wanting to give voice to yourself. So that's one of the things that pushes many more women nowadays to doing all this, and I just love it. I think everyone should love it.
You know what else is cool about how many women are getting involved with metal is that I'm seeing in front of my eyes. It used to be very like a spectacle if there was a female fronted band. You know what I mean? Like people would just pay attention to that. But now I think because there are so many women getting involved, like people are actually like paying attention to the merit and the songwriting and how good the vocalist is or how bad you know, it's like now there's this range of women who are doing it. So there's more to choose from than just being like, oh God, it's a girl in a band. That's crazy. Which is what we've all wanted to get to, you know, we want to get to the point where that's not the main feature of the band. And I think we're seeing that start to happen, which is amazing.
I love that. You know, just some young women, like teenagers, just seeing themselves like identified, you know, with someone, with a figure. And that's how cool it is, because they have a figure. You're a figure to a lot of people. So just the best in that, you know.
Thanks, man.
Let's kind of move that balance much more, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Now we're gonna try to do a throwback to the beginning of the band. Which one would you say are the main reference and influences that have like helped you on reaching your own sound?
So when I started doing vocals, like the original people who influenced me were like Randy Blythe, Brandon Chiappetti from Bleeding Through, Chester Bennington, Linkin Park, Chino, Deftones, Anthony Green is, so there, it's very eclectic. And then grunge, I was really into grunge. So like, you know, the very surface level stuff like Lane Staley or Kurt Cobain, to other stuff like Jesus and Mary Chain, and Blonde Redhead. I'm super influenced by like 90s and Marilyn Manson, all of that type of stuff. And like I said, Soul Niger, I think you can hear that in my highs. If you're familiar with Soul Niger Within, I do a lot of like, that was huge, so influenced by Soul Niger. Trevor Sternad, Johnny Davey from Job for a Cowboy, Alex Arian, Despised Icon. There have been a million over the years. Jonathan Vigil, Ghost Inside, that's how I learned when I was a kid to do like, I think they call it like false chord screaming, the louder one. I don't know. They didn't have all these terms when I was a child. So yeah. So, but that's how I learned to be like a loud vocalist, you know, through hardcore and terror. So I like everything. What I'm trying to say is that, and then I'm way into like weird, you know, Pink Floyd, Fleetwood Mac, Chelsea Wolf, Marissa Nadler, Emma Ruth Rundle, Isis, all that. I just, later in my life, I've been kind of more into the post-rock, like stoner, and I listen to a ton of classic rock stuff, but it really comes from everywhere is kind of what I'm getting at, you know? If I hear something that I like in someone's voice, or if there's a kid doing some cool new vocal technique, then I learn it all. I want to be like, my goal is I call it like to be like a Swiss Army knife of vocals. I want to be able to employ whatever vocal technique I hear when I hear it. And if you don't know how to do everything, then you can't put that on record, you know? So that's kind of my endless pursuit with vocals. You know, I'm really into pitch screaming. Gojira is a great example of that, or Intronaut. But yeah, there are a million places that my influence comes from. And I think that like learning so many different things and always trying to be a student of the craft is what has really like molded me stylistically as a vocalist.
As a vocalist, and I wanted to ask also like your own sound as a band, you know.
Oh yeah, as a band, it's
instrumental part, you know.
Totally. I mean, you know, we're all influenced by like, we love Zappa and we love death metal, Dying Fetus, and so it's like, you know, what does a band who loves, I'm way into Cynic. I fucking love like early progressive metal. So it's like, what does a band who loves all of these different kind of things sound like when they get together? And it kind of comes out like what we're doing, you know? When we started, there wasn't like one band, and I see bands doing that more and more nowadays. They come out and they're like, we're deathcore. We sound like Suicide Silence from 2007. We're doing The Cleansing, and that's, or whatever.
Like we don't do that, right?
Yeah, we've never
like the
done
MySpace
that.
Revival we're having, man.
Which is awesome, you know, that's cool. I'm glad it's happening, whatever, that's great for them. But for us as artists, that's our thing, has never been to like be like, this is exactly what we're doing. And because I think that, you know, and speaking for my band specifically, we aren't the kind of people who want to like write in a be pigeonholed, you know? I mean, Naveen has played in Animals as Leaders, but he's also played in The Faceless and Animosity. He's also played with Whitechapel and Machine Head. Evan and Naveen has a solo project where it was like drum and bass stuff, you know? And Evan also has a solo bass project, and Evan has played in Look What I Did, which is a crazy zany rock band, and he's played in The Faceless and Animosity. So it's like, what do people who have all of these eclectic influences get together and write? And I think at the beginning of our band, it made things a little crazier, if you will, just because we didn't know exactly what we were going to do. And those guys were coming from places where they had been writing strictly instrumental music for however the fuck long, you know? And So that's been a part of the creative process of our band over the years, is learning how to like make all of that. It goes back to the songwriting thing, learning how to bring that all into a concise package. And we're getting better and better at that over time.
That, you know, that makes me to think a lot of things, like, because I just try to have bands also. You know, also we're just affected by the scene we have here, but I'm gonna just leave that topic for later, for another recording, and I'm gonna ask the last question because the recording is just surpassed time. 3 minutes already, so we'll just keep talking later. So just the last question. If you had to identify yourselves with one of your songs, I know that this one is so difficult, but which one will it be? You know, just one song that identifies Entheos.
I would say the closest to identifying us as a whole right now is probably, it's between two. It's between An End to Everything and I Am the Void, I would say, because those are the songs where we've started to incorporate more singing, but also keeping the metal edge. So I think that you will see us going a bit more in that direction, and that is Entheos to me.
Thank you so much, Chaney,
Yeah,
for having this time.